Hey guys, on today's episode we're working on this 1994 Jeep Cherokee and it's completely destroyed on the inside, but it happens to be owned by my buddy Bob, who is the deputy editor of Road and Track. Now why would somebody like that, who has access to tons of cars, be dying to own a car like this? We're gonna find out today on this episode of Drive and Protect. This is a 1994 Jeep Cherokee that was parked for many years in the Texas sun before Bob bought it and then sent it back up to New York City. Clearly, it hasn't been washed in over 10 years. The door and hood jambs are covered in green mold and moss. The gas door was caked up with dirt. The carpets, wheels, glass, and roof were all neglected and basically just a big hot mess. So why would anyone, no less the deputy editor of Road and Track, buy this particular vehicle?
Right, it's kind of a funny vehicle for a sports car magazine editor to lust after. Right. I've just always loved the XJ Cherokee. My mom had one when I was a little kid, and the two-door especially, the next door neighbor, when he turned 16 years old, he got a two-door Cherokee stick shift. Yeah. And so that's burned in my brain as being like the coolest car. For years and years now, I've been hunting for a clean, rust-free, two-door stick shift Cherokee. And they didn't make a lot of those. I mean, every Cherokee you see is a four-door. It's a family car. I've always loved how the two-door looks. I think the proportions are classic. So a friend of mine spotted this in Texas, and I bought it sight unseen. My friend did the transaction on my behalf, and I shipped it up here. And it sounds silly to say this about such a cheap, normal seeming car, but this was the fulfillment of like a very, very long-term goal for me.
This is what makes what I do really exciting. It's not just about how much does it cost or how fast does it go. It's about what the car means to the person that I'm preserving it for. Whether it's a Pinto or a Porsche, it doesn't really matter to me. Now, don't get me wrong, I love detailing the rare and exotic sports cars, but there's something extra special when the sentimental value is greater than the sum of its parts. So with that said, it's time to turn this into this. So step one, of course, is to power wash with warm water to see the true condition of how tired the paint really was. Next, I filled the foam reservoir with AMMO foam and applied an even coating and allowed about 5 minutes to penetrate the door jambs and the seams. Now, while it was soaking, I sprayed AMMO Plum on the wheels and used the wheel woolly attached to a power drill to scrub away the caked on brake dust on the tight spokes. Next, I agitated the engine and engine compartment with my wheel brush and wheel wash mitt. Now, the goal still at this point is just a high-level removal of the mud and the grime before we can get into a more intricate detailing process, so to speak. Then I agitated the paint with a microfiber towel and AMMO foam in a bucket. I usually keep a small brush handy when washing the paint so that I can get into the tight areas like the emblems and the gas doors, especially when a car has been sitting so long untouched. Afterwards, another power wash to continue to blow out the endless amount of junk in the seams. Then I dried with a microfiber towel and compressed air in a special method. Here's why. Normally on, let's say, a nice clean car like this one over here, what I would do is blow it out and just get the areas where the water is trapped. In this case here, as you can see, as I start blowing, see how it's creating a little bit more dirt everywhere? A little dirt here, dirt there. It's just blowing everything out. So it's kind of like this combination of washing / drying at the same time. So keep that in mind when you're watching me do this on super crazy dirty cars that have seals like this. See all the stuff that came out? The reason I hit this now is when I'm polishing, pretending I'm polishing right now, and it's spinning, you know, my machine. Look at that, that's a perfect example. As it's rotating, it's getting dirty and my pad is getting dirty. So I'm constantly fighting this. There's the residue coming off the paint, and then there's the residue that's, as I'm knocking in, look at this. I'm actually doing an example, just pretending this is the pad kind of bumping in. Look at the dirt that's coming off that. That's what's contaminating the paint, and I won't be able to get my final finish, my final polish looking perfect. So this is kind of this in-between drying / blowing session here, if that makes sense. Next, I turned my attention to the interior, where I tested the level of bacteria present, and it obviously failed miserably. I did this now just to set a baseline for cleaning later. The interior wasn't the worst I've ever seen, but certainly not good nor healthy to drive in, so I started off with a quick vacuum to avoid clogging my mini shampooer. Now, the new industrial shampoo machine just arrived after months on back order. Check out the unboxing video coming soon on the studio channel. As you can see, there are stains and leftover garbage under the seats. Now, over the years, I've found guns, knives, condoms, drugs, and women's underwear, but this is the first time for this. As I vacuumed with an open hose for the larger objects, I found a rolled up newspaper that was clearly tied with ribbon or something special with a love letter inside. And the letter reads, Crystal, I love you, even though it doesn't show like yours does. Believe me, I do. The newspaper that it was wrapped in was from August 26, 2005, if you're keeping score at home. And after a quick wiping of the tears, I continued vacuuming under the seat and trunk. Now, as of a point of reference, the cup holder had mouse droppings present, which is something to keep in mind when you're cleaning neglected cars, so be sure to wear your PPE. Next, I used AMMO shag on the carpets along with a power scrubber, which I don't normally use, but in this case the material is quite robust, in order to agitate the stains to the surface and then suction them up with a shampoo machine. It can also be helpful to use a tamping brush on the seats and carpet as well. This can help drive the cleaning liquid into the surface of the stain if the power scrubber is not effective or too aggressive in certain areas.
That's 100 times better.
As you can see, the before and after is very obvious, even just after the first of 2 sessions. After round 1 on the floors and carpets, I focused on the doors until my power went out. Guys, at this point you can see it's a little bit darker than I would like it to be in the building, and the reason why is we're actually, literally right now, you can hear it beeping, we're going through a hurricane here, so real time. We're just in the middle of detailing this car, and a tree outside fell, and so I've been running around scattered trying to move cars around and get them inside and protected. But anyways, that's why it's going to look a little bit dark. I have about 20 minutes left of battery in my light over there. We're going to do what we can and then see if I can actually make it home. So anyways, it's time to lather the door. So with the power out and the batteries now dead, we focused on cleaning up the mess in the driveway, and I ate food out of a cooler that I brought from home, which was also out of power for 8 days, which is insane. Fast forward 8 days later, when I returned, I removed the center console and cleaned underneath and in all the tight spots, the dashboard, the steering wheel, shifter, and so on. Now, once I finished up the rear cup holders, I retested the area with the swabs and got a passing grade at only 54 RLUs or relative light units. Now, what's super cool is I tested the steering wheel, which is another hotbed for germs, after my initial cleaning, and the test showed that it was better, but it's still in need of some improvement at 489 RLUs. So I scrubbed the wheel again thoroughly and then retested. This time, it passed with 226 RLUs detected. With the interior drying, I focused on restoring the exterior by removing the dead and dried out paint laying on top. First, I taped off the black trim, especially on older cars with dried up rubber, as this will absorb any accidental bumping much more easily than, let's say, new or supple trim. With my Rupes 21 and a red foam pad, I prime the foam pad by hand first to coat all the pores, and then I blow out the excess with a compressor during priming. I only do this during priming. Then, once I'm done, I add 3 dots to start, and then I'll adjust as I become more comfortable with this particular paint. What's interesting about detailing paint in this condition is when you remove the haze or the light scattering from the surface, the clarity of the paint obviously increases, but so does the clarity of the larger imperfections like the hail damage seen here. So be sure to let the customer know ahead of time, or you'll be backpedaling when it becomes time for that big reveal. Okay, now at this point we've polished basically half the car, and there's a little thing I'm running into here. When you're removing old or dried or dead paint off the vehicle, we use the mow down technique, and that of course is do a bunch of quick passes, kind of pull off the dead skin, and then underneath you sort of reveal the new skin as if you were taking a shower using a scrub bar, that kind of concept. But if you look deep, there's actually a few scratches. Now, this pad, in my opinion, is really good at kind of pulling that dead skin off, but not necessarily great at removing scratches. So this is the part as a detailer you kind of have to pick and choose your weapons appropriately based on the condition of the car and what the car is telling you. So in this case, I'm going to pull off the red pad. I'm putting on a microfiber finishing pad because a cutting pad is going to be too much cutting. It's going to be pulling off too much of this dried skin, if you will. And then I'm going to come in here and you can see just a little bit, there's some deep scratches that the foam pad's not taking out. Every once in a while when you find deep scratches, you have to kind of switch your tools a little bit to hit them appropriately. So we're gonna do that right now. Keep in mind, these pads are really great at cleaning the paint. So on stubborn areas like right here on the roof, you can use the agitation from the pad to pick up the stains that aren't removed from the heavy washing. Now, if you decide to do this, be sure to blow out the pad more frequently because there's an increase in residue. Likewise, on the tight areas, just move down to a 3-inch red foam pad on a 3-inch machine. Once all done, and after a quick ISO wipe down, I applied AMMO Reflex Pro to the freshly exfoliated paint surface to slow the rate of future oxidation now that most of the old, dried up UV protection has been removed. Once applied, allow a minute or two until you see a rainbow effect, and then just simply wipe it off. For more information and how-to tricks, make sure you check out the How to Apply a Coating video link above to understand why Reflex Pro is being requested on cars and manufacturers like this. Once all the painted surfaces were covered in Pro, I removed the masking tape from the polishing session and applied AMMO mud to the trim, tires, and engine plastics. Up next were the windows, of course. Now, I'm always fighting with glass, but using a squeegee can be really helpful, especially when the larger rear windows are so important to this particular Jeep and what made Bob love this model since he was a kid. Spray with your cleaner first, then quickly wipe up with a microfiber towel. Next, spray again and then use a scrub pad to pick up all that extra oil and grease on the glass. And to remove that, use a squeegee When you're finally done, use a very clean window towel to scoop up the last little residue. Using an external light can also be really helpful in this situation. Okay, at this point, we've basically finished the car, but I got a late minute audible. These arrived in the mail. We didn't think they were gonna come. Naturally, I finished the car, so I would have done this in a little bit of a different order, but it's all good. So we got touch-up paint, gotta finish it up, no problem. And then I have the trim black, which we're gonna use on the rain rails here, maybe up here as well. We're not quite sure. So I put a bit of paint plastic here, or the plastic when you're painting a car, and I'm gonna cut this out and sand this down with 1000 just to kind of get a little bit of grit to it. And then we're gonna spray this and hopefully it brings a little bit more depth and pop to the car. But again, a little bit out of order, kind of an audible, but makes it a little bit fun, right? Now with that said, I did the same thing for the wiper arms as well. Now obviously he could just replace those arms, but I wanted everything to match perfectly for the reveal. Now with those looking great, I decided to then touch up the roof rack as well, and down the rabbit hole I went. So I re-teeped off the area, lightly sanded to remove the flaking paint, and resprayed those. Then the grill looked kind of faded, so this came off. Lightly scuffed the plastic again and repainted it in the same matte black. Then the headlight trim looked terrible against the fresh grill, so those had to come off. In the process, I saw that there was more dirt behind there, so I had to clean that. Then I sanded and painted everything and reinstalled, and the XJ was really starting to come together. Now, I didn't do the bumper because from what I understand, this was being replaced. When I was done with that, then I added touch-up to the few areas that were exposed, and I avoided when I was applying AMMO Reflex earlier in the week, knowing that I or either Bob was going to touch this up when eventually all the packages arrived, which they did, of course, on the last day of filming. Okay, once all was done, Bob came up to the studio to see his beloved XJ for the first time since its brand new facelift. So here's your car.
Oh my God.
Totally different, huh?
This looks brand new. Holy cow.
Just take a feel of that thing.
Dude, I bet it didn't look this good the day it rolled off the assembly line. Holy cow.
My favorite color front here.
That makes such a huge difference
Yeah,
too.
it's a little bit more vibrant.
Yeah, yeah.
This side over here we painted this up here.
Oh my
kind of
God.
dyed these a little bit. They're so thirsty. They just like soaked up.
They looked like chalk. Yeah, they were like
Yeah.
that weird chalky hazy.
Yep.
This is beautiful.
Yeah, it came out real nice. You could see when you see the before and after. Even just look at the reflection of the light coming here.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of chalk and sort of dead skin that we describe it as you're pulling it off, it's literally being caked into the pad.
Oh.
And so I have to take one of the air compressors, blow it out,
Right,
and then go back, and then blow it out and go back. So it's like this. I move from here to here,
Oh my
and then
God.
I blow it out. I move from here to here. So you're literally leapfrogging, but you're
Right.
leapfrogging this around the car. So it's just a lot of real estate to go. But then,
This must have taken you forever.
yeah, it took a while. I'm not gonna lie.
So all in, how long did it take you to get, because you've got every inch of this thing polished and buffed.
Yep, and we cleaned up your engine the best we could too. We got all inside, once we open everything up.
Dude, you know what the problem is? This is so reflective and beautiful now that you see all the hail damage.
Told you. That's one of the beauty, that's one of the things when you take away all the imperfections, the best you can, everything else sort of pops out.
Because it was so caked on there that I had no idea there was this much hail damage.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And then when we did a 50-50 on this, so you have one shot over here where it's got, you could see the hexagrader, you can see the lights.
Right.
I think we did it over there. And then this side over here, you just see like this blur, like mess of whatever. So it was a great 50-50.
The roof, I can't get over the roof.
My gosh, we took a video from the second floor and I power washed this for like 10 or 15 minutes. And there was so much junk that came out of here.
Oh my God.
So-
yeah, because it was a different color. It was like the color of the tires.
Yes,
basically.
it was bad. So at the very minimum, you lost about probably 10, 15 pounds.
It's a Cherokee Superleggera now. I've been on the hunt for a two-door Cherokee for years.
Yeah.
And to see it looking like this now, like this is what I was dreaming of for years and years and years. And man, I can't thank you enough. This just looks so beautiful.
With that, we pulled the XJ outside and Bob replaced the final Jeep badge while I installed the AMMO badge on the rear glass, and he was off back to New York City with his dream car. Hey guys, if you like restoration videos, be sure to check out some of my past barn finds and the first wash in years episodes. And stay tuned for more future episodes like this one here, the Glickenhaus boot. And the Rimac Concept 1. And this one here, a 1987 Buick Grand National found in Brooklyn with 56 original miles, completely insane. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification button to find out when those episodes air, or visit ammonyc.com for more information. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.